Good morning, everyone. I'm Lynn. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you are having a wonderful morning this morning. I will get there. So far, it's been pretty good. It's still a little early, not as far as the clock goes, but I haven't had my caffeine yet, so I'm not, firing on all 8 cylinders. I don't drink coffee, but I do have one Mountain Dew a day, and that's first thing in the morning, and that's kind of my little coffee or that's my little Kickstarter. But anyway, I wanted to come on here and tell you good morning first. My son and I are actually going to make y'all some sourdough bagels. A couple months ago, we started a sourdough starter, and we've done lots of bagels. We've got that pretty much down to an art. Uh, we've done a couple loaves of bread. We're still working out our kinks with that because to me, half of it's finding a great recipe and the other half is finding your groove in making it. Because to me, it's an art. It really is. And we've done pizza dough, but I don't know how that turned out. We made it, and while it was proofing, he ended up taking it to his friend's house, and they made pizza that evening. Him, his friend, and his wife, and whatnot. So he said it turned out okay for a first time. But the thing about it is, it's never going to be perfect the first time. Like I said, that's where the recipe meets the art. And we've got some bread proofing in the refrigerator that we're going to do tomorrow. But today we're going to do bagels for you. So I hope you enjoy it. And, if you are doing sourdough starter, give this recipe a try because it's really good. I'll link it down below. And I'll put the ingredients down below. And, it's I've had, not I, but we've had compliments that this rivals New York bagels. So that is a huge compliment, seeing as how I've heard that they're the capital of the bagel world or something. I don't know if that's true. I'm just being silly. But anyway, as soon as he gets in here and we get moving, I'll start recording again. So I will see you back here for you just in a minute. Okay. Sorry about that. I wasn't thinking very clearly this morning. Still not, if we should be honest. I can go ahead and get most of it done, and then when we regroup tomorrow after it's proofed overnight, my son can help me do the actual make the bagels and cook them and whatnot. So what we need to start, I have my sourdough starter. I'm going to go ahead and put my thing on the scale. Now, this right here, I like to go ahead and use a scale rather than using, and I zero it out, rather than using measurements because, like liquid's all right, but when you get into using, flour and whatnot, how it packs into the cup can be totally different than from one time to the next. So it's always better to me, to use a weighted scale. So I'm going to need 150 grams of starter. I'm going to put in my bowl, and then I'm going to use 250 of warm water. And normally I have a son check my water for me, but he's not in here at the moment. because with the peripheral neuropathy, I don't have as good a sensation as I do. So my water tends to be a little bit warmer than it should. So I'm going to err on the side of caution. I always use the inside of my wrist, kind of like when they were babies and I had to test the milk. All right. Okie dokie. So we're going to use 150 grams of sourdough starter. All right. Wake up. I could have pre-measured all this stuff, but to me, it's more efficient. Well, everybody learns different, so to me, it's more efficient to do it as we go. I mean, yes, I could have everything pre-measured and just zoom through it super fast. And if you prefer that way, you can always speed me up. Oops. All right, it's gonna take a second. We're only at 57, 58. So what I may do is I may just pour this. Go a little quicker. Oh yeah, because we're already at 120, 130. I can clean up the edge of my sourdough starter jar. And I use a little pint jar. I was using, 147. I'm almost there. Yay. I started with a big quart size, but I find it's easier with a little pint size. I did a little too much. Let's see if that'll do it. Come on. Once it falls. Yep, perfect. All right. And then 250. So 150 and 250 is 400. Because normally I clear it out. But it is a little disconcerting trying to do something while I am filming. Uh-oh. I might have to get some more water. Nope. Ha! Perfect. All right. Now let me get a fork and I can blend this all together. Oh, wait a minute. I have to get my sugar. All right. And it needs 24 grams of sugar. So we have to mix 150 grams of starter, 250 grams of water, warm water, and then 24 grams of sugar. Not quite there. Goodness. I don't want it to go overboard. All right. There we go. I'm going to take it off here and just stir it. You might want to turn your volume down. I don't know how loud this is going to be as far as being the metal in my mixing bowl. But once you get it mixed up real good, one thing my son has gotten to liking is he'll just kind of leave this to let it set for about 10 minutes while he feeds the starter. So y'all can feed the starter with me. while we give this a moment to sit and rest. All right, I'm just going to set it right here for the moment. All right, now for my starter. Since we're doing the bread tomorrow, I'm going to feed it bare minimum. Everybody's bare minimum is different. Usually it's about 30 grams of each when we're not doing anything. So it's kind of that way we don't have to discard too much and waste too much. Oh, boy, when I poured that stuff in there, it just went everywhere, didn't it? All right. You can see my little piece of tape. It's so cute. We've used this single piece of tape almost from the beginning. All right. Put it on there, clear it out. I'm going to have to get my water prepped again. And I use, for my starter, I use King Arthur all-purpose unbleached flour. And then for the actual bagels and bread and whatnot, I use the King Arthur unbleached bread flour. That way I have a good good base. I always feel like it's not hot enough. But when he tests it with his better nerve endings, he can tell better. So hope I don't get it too can't think of my words. Too warm, too cool, whatnot. All right, so like I said, about 30 grams. And I do cheat so that it doesn't make a mess. I use the little funnel that I use when I'm canning. It makes it easier. You don't make quite as big of a mess. All right. Actually, I'm going to put that back over there. So that was 27. And usually we try to do like a 97%, 98%, and I'm dripping water everywhere. All right, so that's 58. All right, perfect. Now, all right. Now I have to mix it up and get it all going. I don't mind losing a little bit of flour and all and discard. I just don't like to lose a lot. That's why we tend to go 30 grams when we're not making anything. All right. And I have a little silicone knife that we've used before, but it tends to be rougher. It's harder to mix it. So that's when I just break out my old faithful butter knife, and it helps me scrape all the stuff off from when I get a little crazy and decide, oh, I'm going to pour it in. Usually it's a little cleaner than this, but I tend to try to use new jars so it doesn't get too nasty in there. I'll use a clean jar. I think I just did this yesterday, so probably tomorrow, just get out a clean jar. And see, you should have the consistency about pancakes. Gosh, that smells so good. All right. Now, go ahead and rinse that off. And then I can move my little piece of tape so I can see where it starts. And, you know, some people use rubber bands and some people use tape. Whatever works for you. There's no right way or wrong way, as long as you have something to, got water on the top of my cap. See, I don't sink it down too well. All right. You can kind of see it right there. Let's see if I can turn it. You can see a little hole right there. So that's typically where I grab. And then this sits on top of my refrigerator. I'm still here. I'm just putting this on the top of my refrigerator to where it gets the most heat. And I can, all right, that's done really good. Anyway, so that sits on top of my refrigerator where the heat comes up from the back of it. All right, now, let's see here. All right. Now I just use Great Value sea salt. I use the fine ground now. I had coarse, and I was using my mortar and pestle to grind it up really fine for this. But after we finally got through all of that, I ended up using my fine now. All right, so we need 500 grams, and like I said, this is King Arthur bread flour. All right. Actually, I'm going to use, we tend to use, because we do use 24 grams of flour, we tend to use 11 to 13 grams of salt. And I like to put it in first only because it can be dissolving while I put the bread in. Bread flour. All right, 13 grams. Put that back right there. Zero it out again. And here we go for the 500 grams of bread flour. And I'm not worried about how much is in the scoop. I'm going by the measurement on my weight scale. All right, we're at about 460. $4.84. Ooh, so it's not far. I only have about 15 grams, which really isn't much. Ooh. I was trying not to. There we go. I can do it to where you don't have to hear my nails. Here we go. 500 grams. All right. So once we get this in, I transfer it over to my KitchenAid mixer. And for this section, you might have to turn your volume down. But I wanted to mix it on camera. All right. Usually it's like on 1 for 5 to 6 minutes, or just until it starts being cohesive. So I'm going to be quiet for a moment. Okay, so still a little stringy and sticky, but I wanted to give it a break and be able to get off the hook and start again. I don't know if y'all caught that, but I pulled it off. I mean, I unlocked the thing before I before I stopped it. All right, it's looking pretty good. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna leave that in there for just a moment, and I'm gonna prep my bowl. Oh, actually, no. I'm sorry. It has to sit here for about 45 minutes in the thing. So what I do is I have a specific towel just for that. It's a little towel. I got it to the Dollar Tree, and I dampen it and put it over top of the KitchenAid bowl for about 45 minutes and let it rest. Then I will come back and have, usually I grease my little bowl with, uh, think, Lynn, olive oil. So I'll grease it with olive oil and come back, transfer, make it into a nice little you smooth it out and you make it into a ball. But I'll do that when I come back. It's going to be about 45 minutes. That'll give me time to run down and water my greenhouse and open my greenhouse up for the day. So I will be back. Okay, we have been 45 minutes. I went to the greenhouse and got it all watered, and let me tell you, it is sweltering in there. That right there. All right. I'm going to dampen my hands just a little bit so that I don't get too much stuck to my hands when I'm pulling it out, because you need to pull it out and smooth it out and make it basically into a ball. And at this point, it's still a little sticky. That's why I rinse my hands a little bit so that I can get it going real good. And I washed my hands right before I turned the camera back on. I figured y'all wouldn't want to listen to me do all that fun stuff. But basically, I'm just smoothing it out, making it a nice smooth ball. Normally my son does this part, because he's a little better at it than me. All right. So I've already greased my bowl here very lightly, and I do mean very lightly, with olive oil, just so that this lovely little ball doesn't stick. All right. So basically, I've just made it into a pretty little ball. I set it in there. And then, oops. I almost forgot. Well, you're going to have to hear me basically washing my hands anyway, because I have to get all this dough off. Not a lot of it, but enough to make my hands very sticky. Sorry about that. I tried to not have to let y'all hear all that fun stuff. All right, so at this point, it is, I won't see y'all till tomorrow, because this usually proofs on top of my refrigerator anywhere from 10 to 12 hours. And then tonight it will go in the refrigerator, and it'll continue to, sit in there and proof and rise a little bit. And then first thing in the morning, we will get in here and split the dough evenly and make it into bagels. So I will see y'all again first thing in the morning. Okay, so what we're doing this morning is the next day, and we just got the proofed dough out of the refrigerator, and we have to put it on the plate on the pan as a rectangle and divide it into 8 equal pieces that end up being 115 grams a piece. We have the handy little scale that I used yesterday. Once we do that, we'll put them in, make them into 115-gram balls and put them on the pan and let them sit. It's kind of stiff, isn't it? Yeah. But you actually want it to be a little stiff because once you start working with it, if it heats up too much, it gets super sticky. But after we weigh them out, we make them into little balls and let them sit for 10 to 15 minutes and let them rest. After that, what we do is poke our hole in the center of each little ball and we ream it out. Basically, we're creating the hole in the bagel. All right. After we do that, oh, you know what I didn't do? That's all right. We normally tag team this, so forgive me if I start blundering around here. But after we make them into bagels, bagel shapes, we cut our pot of water on over here and we add honey to it. And watch today be the one day that I can't hit it. Normally I've been hitting it pretty good at 115 without having to do a whole lot of adjusting, but you know, hey, like I've told you, doing something in regular time versus filming it is a lot different for me. Okay, so now that Austin has made them into beautiful little balls, I'm never good at this, ever. We have to wait 10 to 15 minutes and we'll be back to poke holes in them and make them bagels. All right, so now we have the fun job of getting the holes put in the bagels. And you can't see it, but I've already cut the oven on 425 degrees and letting it preheat. And I've cut the eye on with my, I probably should have showed that. Sorry about that. And basically you just want to do it till you get a decent hole. And pre-warning, they will try to fill back in. He makes better holes than I do. Mine are always lopsided. But after you cut the pot on, you add a tablespoon worth of honey. So I'll add that in just a minute. I use local honey. I had a pint-sized jar from a friend of ours in, I want to say Mississippi, maybe. But I've used almost all of that. And while Austin is doing those, I'll add a tablespoon of this. Switch places. Oops, I grabbed 2 of them. And see, on the other jar, it had crystallized. This one is still nice and pliable. And it's easier to do a tablespoon because you can ask Austin. I tend to go a little crazy on the crystallized ones. All right. So let that dissolve in there. I'm going to step right in front of you. All right. Last one. Now, once we do this, they have to sit for 15 to 20 minutes with a damp rag over top of them. And then after they sit for the 15, 20 minutes, we'll put them we'll boil them. It's like 30 seconds for one side, flip it over, 30 seconds for the next, and then pull them out. And that's when you can decide whether you want seasoning on them or not. And sometimes we'll do everything bagel seasoning to where, while they're still damp coming out of the pot, he'll put them on there. I don't know what we're going to do yet. So see you in 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. We're just about ready to start back. And we have decided to do half and half everything bagel and half everything bagel and half plain. We use the Einstein Brothers bagels. It says everything bagel seasoning blend. We got it from Walmart. You just sprinkle that in there. Basically, you know what? Let me use the other side. Just coat the bottom of it. Because when we take these out, this is what I say. This is what I mean when I say tag teaming. Austin will generally, I handle the pot and he handles coating the bagels with the seasoning and whatnot. You know what? I better leave that out for him. And I got this little thing as a free, I don't know if you can see it over here in the shadow. It's a little free thing I got for playing Temu. But it's perfect for when we actually need to dip these puppies in and stir them around. All right, Austin. So now what we do is, like I said, we put him in. He has his timer on his phone. We put him in for 30 seconds. We flip them. 30 more seconds, then we pull them out. Are you ready? You want to get over this one? I just figured we'd start. Oh, we can. Whichever way. And generally, if they start to stick, about after 5 or 6 seconds, you can just kind of move them around and unstick them from the bottom of the pot. Okay. All right. Now they go in the oven 20 to 25 minutes, just depending on your oven. We've figured out for ours, it's 22 minutes. And I've already preheated the oven for 425 degrees. I'm going to let Austin pop that puppy in there. So we'll be back in 22 minutes. Okay. The oven just went off, and I'm going to pull them out and show you just how beautiful they came. Whoa, hello. Even though I know that's coming, I still do it anyway and get a face full of heat. All right. So now I get to transfer them. These are out of my air fryer. Imagine my hair is all lovely. These are out of my air fryer. I do have a cooling rack, but I tend to just use the air fryer rack. And look at these golden, delicious little beauties. So we just let them sit there and cool. And I'll do this. That way I don't get out everything bagel all over everything on my counter. But anyway, I'm about to change my setting because we're about to do that bread that I talked about earlier. Well, technically I talked about it yesterday morning with you, but I think it was 450, so I'm going to go ahead and amp that up. I already have my little cast iron. They call for Dutch oven for baking sourdough loaf bread, but my cast iron Dutch oven, I still have to process. I found it years ago and it was all rusted and nasty, and I've been kind of trying to refurbish it, and I'll show that. I might do another video on that. I did it and it didn't come all the way clean, so I had my son pick up some steel wool, so I'm going to try to do that. And if worse comes to worse, I might take it to the machine shop and get them to sandblast it. And that thing scared me. Get it to sandblast it and just, go ahead and re-season it. But anyway, here is our lovely look. And I will put everything, like I said, the recipe and instructions down in the description. And I would eat one, but these things are super hot right now. Normally no. Normally my son will eat a fresh one right out the oven, but he'll probably come in here in a few minutes and get one. But I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you for spending your time with me. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you want to come back and see anything else. Bye.